Remakes. Love them or hate them, they're deeply entwined in the gaming ethos. Sometimes they are warranted, with the likes of Ocarina of Time coming from the N64 to the 3DS, but other times they're just downright obnoxious. Companies like Naughty Dog and Supermassive Games are hard offenders, remaking games that at the time of their respective release were not even a decade old. I'm all for a grand remake of some of my favorite games of all time, but it gets worse as the years go on with diminishing returns as technology improves at such a rapid rate. I can bust out my copy of Last of Us Remastered on PS4 and still marvel at its beauty without shelling over 60 bones for a slightly prettier version on PS5. The leaps just aren't as big as they once were. Anything from the 16-bit to the 32-bit era will always look beautiful, as they are all sprite-based. Look at Super Metroid, for instance. It is over 30 years old and has aged like fine wine. Big sprites, a wide array of different colors courtesy of the SNES PPU or picture processing unit, and the use of Mode 7 in the ending sequence paves the way for Super Metroid to stand the test of time. Back in the day, fans were clamoring for a port of the beloved classic to Game Boy Advance, but Nintendo went a different route. It's Samus Aran's first intergalactic romp, Metroid for the NES. The original Metroid is groundbreaking in many ways. It is a full-on action-adventure with many different paths to tackle, backtracking in past explored areas with new power-ups, and the hero being a badass chick wrapped in a power suit made of alien architecture. It doesn't get any cooler or 1980s than that. However, it is not aged well at all. There's no in-game map, making exploration incredibly difficult as there are so many different paths to take, and they clearly wanted you guys to pay for a subscription to Nintendo Power back in the day, because honestly, some of the things in that game is like, how is any normal gamer supposed to pick up on it? There's no diagonal shooting, and it was in need of a massive graphical overhaul. Making a from the ground up remake was a no-brainer. Even at the time, Metroid had a cult following and never quite reached the heights of other Nintendo franchises such as Mario or Kirby. Therefore, a remake could renew interest for fans who want to explore Samus Aran's debut adventure. But Metroid Zero Mission doesn't just remake Metroid, it revitalizes it while staying true to what made the original so iconic. Gone are the limited control scheme of the original in favor of enhanced gameplay features seen in Samus' other outings at the time. In the vein of Super Metroid or Metroid Fusion, Samus can now aim her arm cannon diagonally up and down, making it much easier to hit enemies close and far. In addition, she can now crouch and shoot instead of waiting for certain enemies to climb up to Samus at waist level. Much like water slipping through a small brook, Zero Mission flows with fluidity and grace. From morph ballin', space pirate shooting, and treasure looting, my time spent on Planet Zebes just flows. This is the way the original should have played. And honestly, there's no point in finishing the original on NES unless you're a purist with a knack for pure 8-bit nostalgia. The crazy part is Zero Mission's release day is further away now than the original release was when Zero Mission first launched. My oh my, how time does fly. Samus can now cling to ledges and spring off walls, adding a new layer of agility that makes exploring Zebes feel more dynamic and empowering than ever before. An absolute far cry from Samus' rigidity in her 8-bit debut, where a power suit could have used at least a can or two of WD-40 for added mobility. It didn't take me long at all to start zipping around the map at breakneck speed like a bat out of hell. Speedrunners can rejoice in all the extra improvements, and is a game that encourages you to have quick clear times for better endings, and is a tradition held since the original release and beyond. Now look, I can't talk about gameplay features of a Metroid game without mentioning the Morph Ball. In Zero Mission, the Morph Ball functionality was enhanced significantly, and if you ever played the original, you knew how agonizing it was just to shift into Morph Ball mode. It seriously felt like a fly trying to shuffle its way through molasses. Samus can roll into Morph Ball mode much more seamlessly this time around. Whenever she grabs ledges that lead into a hole, she'll automatically shift into Morph Ball mode as well. Small details like this never flew under my radar. It seems like I'm burying the original game, but I assure you, even the most minute change in Zero Mission feels like a godsend. Bomb jumping feels more responsive than ever with a tight timing window that I instantly clicked with. perfectly timed bomb jumps are so satisfying, especially when I reach a currently inaccessible area and just laugh menacingly as I do it. Power bombs also make their triumphant return from Super Metroid. It instantly decimates pesky enemies and opens up areas locked behind a power bomb icon. I love the shing noise that accompanies it too. Makes it, shall we say, a bit more bombastic. Speaking of sound, man, does Zero Mission nail it. The Game Boy Advance is not known for having the most robust sound chip, but Zero Mission just hits it out of the park. The first few steps out of the gunship towards Brinstar filled me with a sense of heroism. The remastered tracks are much more dynamic this time around, with the GBA sound chip having an obvious edge over the NES. Zero Mission's soundtrack layers its atmosphere beautifully, from the inspiring, adventurous energy of Brinstar to the eerie, echoing desolation of Crateria. I yet to find a Metroid game that wasn't able to encapsulate me in each environment that I visited. Take Crane's theme for instance, right? It kind of piques your curiosity. It's equal parts mysterious and unsettling as it rolls in with those slow dun 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 and gradually builds up with creepy MIDI tones and pounding drum hits. An excellent showcase of GBA hardware as the subtle eeriness envelops you as you gun your way down the crate. Nintendo have always been masters of maximizing their technology to the fullest extent, regardless of the power output of the console. With the creativity showcased by the sound team, they developed a soundtrack I can gladly listen along to apart from playing the game. Zero Mission just feels so premium with the super slick controls and the expertly crafted sound direction. But what about the art direction? Well, my friend, Zero Mission ups the ante by featuring gorgeous 32-bit sprites and locales. When it comes to sprites, the GBA is king. There's a reason people still export sprites from certain GBA games like the Sonic Advance series for instance. If Super Nintendo games can stand the test of time with only 16-bit graphics, GBA games and jaw-dropping 32-bit visuals isn't even a question. Every environment from the original game is lovingly recreated in breathtaking 32-bit graphics. I say in confidence that Metroid Zero Mission is easily one of the most stunning looking adventures on the little purple powerhouse. The gurgling lava bubbles of Norfair pop literally and figuratively with its bright oranges and deep reds hugging the bottom of the screen. Norfairian cannon fodder emerge all over, wreathed in raging flames and entrenched in deep purples, creatures forged in heat and hostility. Venture further outside Crateria to ancient Chozo ruins, where the architecture has succumbed to Father Time. Cracks adorn the seams of every tan stone, each laid down by the mysterious warrior race that once nurtured Samus. Every nook and cranny of Zebes was lovingly reforged in Metroid Zero Mission, and don't get me started on the bosses either. Kraid and Ridley look absolutely brutal. Their updated sprites perfectly capture their sheer villainy that the NES just couldn't handle. I mean, Ridley looked like Barney the dinosaur for crying out loud. Just when you think you completed the game after defeating Mother Brain, a brand new section opens up. Samus hightails it out of Zebes after a successful mission, just to be ambushed by pursuing space pirates. The pirates eventually catch up to her and take her ship down, crash landing her back on Zebes. Enter Chozodia, ancient Chozo ruins left to be swept away by the annals of time after the warrior race were forcibly driven away by the space pirates. A solemn graveyard of Chozo legacy just reduced to a reminder of once was. Samus loses her suit in the aftermath of the crash along with all her abilities. She is now left with nothing but her paralyzer pistol and her wits as she makes her way through the space pirate ship. The final act of Zero Mission just laid down a new foundation for players as this section kicks your survival instincts into third gear. Zero Mission suddenly becomes a game of stealth. Excellent game design is incorporated here, making me feel the loss of all that powerful equipment as I try to survive the space pirate onslaught. Let me tell you though, they make it a real bitch when you're forced to trip security lasers as the space pirates desperately pursue Samus. One hit from them in Zero Suit mode is enough to knock away one full health bar, but I may or may not have used the rewind feature as I was playing this on Switch Online. It's a satisfying moment when I was able to hide from them in shadowed areas of the ruins, watching them run past me like a bunch of idiots. As soon as I completed the Chozo trial, I got the gravity suit and laid waste to the pirates. Defeated Mecha Ridley in the process and rode away into the sunset like a badass bounty hunter would. They really went the extra mile in crafting this new section for Zero Mission. It adds just the right amount of new content. I managed to only finish with a 57% completion rating, and I thought I had explored quite a bit too. I missed the fact that you could actually explode the glass inside the space pirate ship and backtrack with all the power-ups to find all the missile upgrades and other goodies that you might have missed. For a Game Boy Advance experience, they packed this game to the gills. Metroid Zero Mission wraps up in a beautiful bow with a short and sweet runtime of about 3 or 4 hours or so. That's barring 100% completion, mind you. This game has high replayabilities and unlockables after completing the story, including the original game. Yes, I tested it. The Justin Bailey .. password is still intact. I played for all of a few moments before realizing there's no need to go back to this game after playing the remake. I'm not trying to say it sucks, but man, it is definitely difficult to go back to the original Metroid after playing Zero Mission. I did not finish with all endings, but there are quite a few of them that just show Samus in different poses with or without her suit on. Metroid Zero Mission is honestly one of my favorite gaming experiences of all time. Everything about this game just feels premium in the hands, man. You'll know what I mean if you picked it up. It's a short little romp that will take you a couple of hours to beat, and you'll remember this game for a lifetime. I'm so thankful Nintendo decided to put this gem out on Switch Online. There you have it, guys. That's my thoughts on Metroid Zero Mission, the absolute masterpiece that it is. What do you guys think of the Metroid franchise? Have you played Metroid Zero Mission? Did this video encourage you to play the game? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, like, comment, subscribe, and have yourselves a good one.